It's showtime, folks. Welcome in. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game here on this Friday. We made it to the end of the week. We're excited. He's Big Joe. I'm Chasing McCabe. We're in Chicago with the Nashville Predators. Dr. Crane Nick Frazier is back at the studio in Nashville. Joe, how you doing? Nice robe.
Yeah, good morning. I just had went upstairs for a mani-pedi and little workout. I'm feeling good today. This place, the Ritz-Carlton, I'll tell you what, they this is like the Beverly Hillbillies who've come to the top of the line place and hanging out. So it's all good, man.
I had to break my streak. I did go to the Starbucks this morning, but so did you, and that's okay. We needed some coffee.
Have you tried to make coffee in your room? I mean, it's like.
Well, I looked at it and I thought I was gonna. I thought Elon was gonna send up another rocket with SpaceX. It's kind of what it looked like. So I just said I'm gonna go downstairs to the lobby. So that was the easiest course of action for me.
I couldn't. I mean, I looked at it. I'm like, I'm gonna make coffee in the room, and then I'm thinking, I have no idea where. I couldn't even find the button to turn it on. So I found the button to turn it on.
Sounds
about
like
5 minutes into
sounds
it, I was
like my relationships, but
and then I just said, I'm done, and then went downstairs.
Yeah, no, I feel that. But really excited, and thanks to the Nashville Predators for having us on this trip. It's been a lot of fun so far. Obviously, the game is tonight. You heard in the update, Joakim Kimmel has been called up, and so we expect to see him tonight. We had an opportunity to kind of mingle with some clients, and Sean Henry, who's going to join us at 9:30 today. And so it's been really cool to kind of be here. You've never been on the road with the Preds before, so this is kind of a new experience for you. I've had the opportunity in the playoffs in the past, but it's been a while. So it's kind of fun to be around these guys and see them go to work. And I know they're all hungry to get a win tonight. And I feel like you and I are going to bring some extra luck.
Well, here's what I've traveled the Titans before, but anytime you got to travel, move a professional sports team around, there's a lot of pieces that have to go correctly to get there. And so I'm always just enamored about how it always goes so smoothly. The bus rides, the administrative staff, the luggage, and everything getting delivered. And just, I mean, this is every night for sports teams across the country. So it was kind of cool watching all that going
on. Last night, the NFL awards came out, and I got to tell you, Joe, I was pleasantly surprised. Josh Allen was named the MVP of the National Football League. Well deserved. I'm not saying that that Lamar Jackson didn't deserve it either, but I was glad to see the league and the voters and everything honor Josh Allen because I really think he deserved it.
Yeah, I mean, that's your MVP forever. You're labeled as an MVP. I was 50-50 with him and Lamar, so either one that would have won would have been happy with me. So good for Josh Allen, man.
Yeah, no, I think that was interesting. What did you think of the Hall of Fame class that was announced? Now that as John McClain kind of explained to us when he was on Wednesday, they've made it a little more difficult to get into the Hall of Fame. So only 4 inductees this year, but it includes cornerback Eric Allen, of course, spent a lot of time with the Eagles, the Saints, and then the Raiders at the end of his career. Jared Allen, who started his career with the Chiefs and the Vikings and then bounced around between the Bears and the Panthers at the end. Antonio Gates spent his entire career with the Chargers as a tight end. And a guy you mentioned the other day that you felt should be in, Sterling Sharp, wide receiver with the Green Bay Packers from 88 to 94. That's your Hall of Fame class, which means no Eli Manning on his first ballot.
It was the smallest class of 2005. I love the fact that Sterling Sharp got into – you weren't around. You weren't born. I mean, you're young. But when he played 88 to 94, he played only with Favre for a couple of seasons. He played with Don Mikowski. Sterling Sharp, had he not injured his neck, would have gone down as I think one of the top 3 receivers of all time. So you saw what he was capable of doing, and he put the numbers up in the short time that he played for the Green Bay Packers. I was elated. I do not think Jared Allen is a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's anywhere near being a Hall of Famer. They didn't ask me. I don't think he when I think of Jared Allen, I don't think Hall of Famer. When I think of Antonio Gates, when I think of Sterling Sharp, when I think of Eric Allen, I'm thinking Hall of Famers. To me, Jared Allen, not a Hall of Famer. But again, good for
So
him.
what would in your mind he need to do differently to be a Hall of Famer?
That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, we always go
I mean,
back to the stats, like, the 10 or 11 guys in front of him in the Hall of Fame. I just don't think he made the impact on the game that these other guys did. My opinion. That's it. And we're going to go back to the DeAndre Hopkins argument the other day. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's not going to get in the Hall of Fame. So I don't know. I don't think he deserves to be in there. But again, good for him. I'm happy Sharp got in. I'm happy Antonio Gates got in. So there is some. And real quick, you don't need to put 8 or 9 guys in every time. The fact they only put 4 in, I love it. Because I think a lot of guys aren't deserving of the Hall of. They're great players, but they're not Hall of Fame players.
So just kind of looking at the numbers, and I know the numbers aren't everything for Jared Allen. The big one is 136 sacks in his career. That's in 187 games. That average, the 17 game average for that is 12.4 sacks basically per season. He had 648 total tackles. 503 of those were solo tackles. 171 tackle for loss. He had 4 safeties in his career. I don't know. I feel like it's tougher for like a defensive lineman. It's kind of tougher to gauge, and I think you did use a really good point of, how much did he change the game? How much did he impact the game? That's, part of judging who a Hall of Famer is. But obviously the committee thought that he did that enough.
Yeah. And that's, again, when it comes to mine, that's me, is like, is he a Hall of Famer? And no, he's not. But to me, the Gates is. I mean, they resonate and they changed the game and had a great impact on the game. I just felt like, doesn't Jared Allen live in Nashville too? I think somebody told me. So anyway, congrats for him and go forward. But
he's done that curling. He and is it Mark Bulger? I think do the curling stuff together.
I think Bullock was on that team too. They're trying to get curling going on.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What's going to be interesting is, and we'll talk about this moving forward, but you kind of brought it up last night when we were all sitting around talking about this Hall of Fame class of next year, and who's going to be eligible next year. Do you think? Is Eli in next year? You think?
No, I think Drew Brees gets in. I think Drew Brees is eligible next year. He gets in. Larry Fitzgerald's up. Jason Witten's up. Frank Gore is up. I mean, those are guys. I mean, Frank Gore is 3rd all time in rushing, and you're like, what? And it's just like, my goodness, And Belichick's up next year for a contributor coach. So there's a lot that's going on.
They'll wait a while.
But I think with Eli, I think it'll be a while, and I'm sure Peyton's already made phone calls to get him in for next year or something. But he's not. He's not. Eli will get in eventually. But no, I mean, not next year. And then after that, I mean, is it coming up with Roethlisberger and Brady are going into the same year? So he's not. Who knows?
How much do you think? This is kind of what I think happens. That now that they've made it more difficult for guys to get in, that you have to get 80% of the vote or whatever it is, that they kind of sit there and they go, okay, we know we're going to put Eli in. We know Eli is going to get in. They may look at it next year of, we know Frank Gore is going to get in, but we need to get this guy in first. So they hold off on people and kind of push it down, kick the can down the road so they can get somebody else in. I do think some of that might happen. And John's probably the one to ask that question to. But, I wonder if some of that happens because you can only put so many in each year, which I'm fine with. I think 4 is a good number for a Hall of Fame class.
Well, not only that, it's a good number. It's you don't have to put 10 guys in each time to do that. And, they go on runs. Like it was the receiver run for a while. Then it was the left tackle run for a while. So it always kind of goes in spurts of different positions that get in to the Hall of Fame. And so what's the next run? But I agree. They know Eli is going to get in eventually, and he'll get there. I get it. He won 2 Super Bowls, and, then it all comes down to stats and things like that. But again, I just think the impact of the game. We talked to the guy I was talking the other day about Dan Marino. It's like, well, he doesn't deserve – he didn't win a Super Bowl. He's not in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, I get that because championships matter to a small part of that, but the impact that Dan Marino had on the game was amazing. Another example, does Charles Barkley deserve in the NBA Hall of Fame? He never won a championship.
Yeah, no, I think so.
Right.
I mean,
and then, they got, that was the knock.
Championships are a team award, not an individual award. And yes, they do have an impact on this, but they shouldn't define it.
No, exactly. And that was the thing with Elway up until the last 2 years of his career. It was like, hey, he's had a great career. He's great. But that one, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It's John Elway. Again, what was your impact on the game? And John Elway's impact on the game, and Marino's and Chris Carter's impact on the game. These are all guys that never won championships, but they had this real big impact on the game of football, and they had the stats to go with it, and they had longevity to go with it, and they deserve to be in, and they're in.
615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Matt from Camden says, Joe, do you think Dwight Freeney deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? If so, he has 11 less sacks than Jared Allen. Jared Allen deserves it.
No. Dwight Freeney, when I come to point of mind, Dwight Freeney is not a Hall of Famer. He had a great career. Does not mean you're a Hall of Famer.
I want you to kind of think about during the break in your mind what should define a Hall of Famer, because there's some I kind of agree with you with, and then there's some that I push back on. But let's check in with Robbie and Rexroad, who are standing by out at Duncan. I believe they're in Brentwood this morning. Boys, how's it going?
We're doing great. How are y'all doing?
We're just, having fun here in cold Chicago, looking out at the city, but, excited to see the Predators back in action tonight.
Oh, Chicago cold?
Yeah, it is.
Joe.
It is.
Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you got to be kidding about Jared Allen not being a Hall of Famer.
He's not.
I think you're crazy.
Give me the stat,
Not a Hall of
Robbie.
Famer.
Give me the stat.
He had 7 straight years of 11 sacks or more, including one where he had 22 in a season.
What did he do to you? Did he push you aside at a curling match at some point? What happened here?
No, he's not a Hall of Famer. I mean, if Grady got in, I would have never voted for him. Doesn't deserve to get
But
in.
what-
That's me.
The Big Joe Hall of Fame is a tough sell. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, you know who is in it, Joe? Percy Snow. He's in it.
There you go. Now
Yeah,
we're
there
talking.
you go. Nice.
Guys, this is what I'm trying to understand what his criteria is, because I tend to agree with you. I think Jared Allen deserved to get in, and there's guys that aren't in yet that I think will get in. We argued over DeAndre Hopkins the other day that when it's said and done, I think he gets in, but I can't figure out what his criteria is.
Yeah, we're going to have to get that nailed down with Big Joe coming up here. But, yeah, we're hanging out at Duncan in Brentwood today, 4930 Thoroughbred Lane out here. Lots of people rolling in already. Free coffee for a year they're giving away to the first 100 people. Lots of people pulling into the parking lot right now. Thanks for the folks at Duncan for having us out and coming out and hang out with us at Brentwood. We'll be here until 10 o'clock.
Awesome. Well, we'll check in with you here in just a little bit. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see if we can get Joe to give us his criteria for the Hall of Fame.
I look forward to it.
Yes. Robbie and Rexroad, go see him at Duncan in Brentwood and get some coffee as well. We'll continue this discussion, including looking at next year's potential Hall of Fame, because I think this is going to get trickier and trickier as things go along. It's Chase and Big Joe. We're live in Chicago today with the Nashville Predators here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game on this Friday. We are live in Chicago with the Nashville Predators. They're in action tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks. 6:30 pregame with Robbie Stanley back in Nashville. And Max Hers and Hal Gill will be on the call tonight as the Preds look to get back in the win column against a team that has not had a good year as well in the Chicago Blackhawks. So should be fun at the United Center later on tonight. We're talking about the Hall of Fame, and it's funny. You're kind of wrong on this one. I believe Jared Allen does get in last night, and a lot of people you say no, you say he should not have. Matt from Camden also followed up with this. Jared Allen has 21 and a half more sacks than J.J. Watt, and J.J. Watt is for sure in the Hall of Fame. Do you think J.J. Watt's in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
You do? I think you froze. Or I froze. Somebody froze.
No, Joe froze.
Okay. Joe is frozen in time. Yeah, I think J.J. Watt is in the Hall of Fame. I hope everybody on this stream can see how he's frozen because it's pretty funny. We'll try and get Joe back here in just a second because he has also the list of who's eligible in the upcoming Hall of Fame classes. Jonathan does not like Joe and Joe's takes because he calls this the Chasing Booty Show because all of Joe's takes are nothing but booty. So Joe has gotten the people fired up this morning. 0247 says, that's the real problem. There's no concrete criteria of getting into the Hall of Fame, just a bunch of dudes in a popularity contest. To me, 2 Super Bowls does not constitute an impact to the game. So Eli is not a Hall of Famer. I think that championships should be a part of it. They should, obviously, they're going to help you because you were on a championship winning team, winning a Super Bowl. I don't think it should define it. Now, there's times where, we sit here and we talk about D-Mace. D-Mace is, nominated every year for the Hall of Fame, but he hadn't made it to the finalists and obviously hadn't gotten in yet. Eddie George has been nominated. And, I wonder if they had won that Super Bowl, does it help push them over the line, especially somebody like Eddie, who I think is borderline. Are you there?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, what did I miss?
I was just, talking about how championships should not define whether you're a Hall of Famer or not, but they obviously can help. But Super Bowl is a team accomplishment. The Hall of Fame is an individual accomplishment.
I didn't know we had so many Jared Allen fans out there.
Yeah, apparently we do. All right, you have the list of the guys that are going to become eligible in the coming years. Next year is very interesting.
Yes, it is, because they have Drew Brees that's coming next year.
He's a lock.
He's a lock. And then Larry Fitzgerald.
Lock.
And you think about, Fitzgerald didn't win us. Larry Fitzgerald's impact on the game of football is known. It's known. You know what he did and all that. So, he's got to get in. And Frank Gore's up the 2 as well. And Frank Gore played for 6 teams, number 3 all-time leading rusher. Only 3 players to top 16,000 yards, Emmett and Walter Payton. And Frank Gore, his longevity made him a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Fitzgerald. If you look at the receiver all-time receiving list, Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, and Marvin Harrison are ahead of Larry Fitzgerald. All 3 of them are in, and then Terrell Owens, Steve Largent, James Lofton, Lance Allworth, Chris Carter, Tim Brown are behind him, and they're all in. There's no question in my mind Larry Fitzgerald's a Hall of Famer.
All right, so here's one that's up for debate, is that this is a 50. Phillip Rivers. Is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Fame quarterback?
I don't think he's first ballot, but I'd lean yes.
I mean, I think he'll get in eventually. He's not a first ballot either.
Yeah.
And again, with quarterbacks, it comes back. Did he win a Super Bowl?
No.
And that's where you go back to Marino. But Dan Marino's impact on the game was what it was. I mean, it was an amazing impact on the game of football. And you saw all that for years. I think he's the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. And yeah, he didn't win a Super Bowl, and that's a knock on him, and that hurts big time. Phillip Rivers the same way. I mean, he got close, but did not get to didn't even make the Super Bowl.
I mean,
So
Rivers has some of Rivers has better numbers than Eli. He just doesn't have the Super Bowl.
doesn't have the Super Bowl.
And
two of them.
yeah, I mean, do you with some of this criteria, like if a guy played in a Super Bowl, does that help? I mean, they lost. It means they lost it if they just played in it. But
Well, I mean, Marino made it in his second year. They got beat by the 49ers. So
yeah,
I think it adds to your cause a little bit. But I don't think with Breeze getting in, then you got Big Ben after that, and then Brady after that. It'll be a while for Eli gets in. What would be funny as hell, Chase, if the same year Brady goes in, Eli goes in.
oh yeah. Actually, look, I think that'd be a great storyline. I mean, because they, especially for Eli, those 2 wins over Tom Brady and the Patriots, I think are going to get him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, adventure. And plus, Eli's going to have the power of the New York media behind him. And they'll say, well, that does, it's still, other places got to vote on that. They'll have enough pull that Eli gets in the Hall of Fame eventually.
Yeah. Let's go to the phones. Gary wants to weigh in on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Gary, what's up?
Not much. I just want to ask y'all, and I don't want to make no waves, but Tom Brady got suspended for deflating or whatever. So now he's got good record, but he cheated. In the story.
Sure.
So I want to hear y'all's response on that. And thank you.
Appreciate you, pal.
Thanks, Gary. I mean, look, and I think that's why people don't like that dynasty and don't like the Patriots, because it wasn't just Deflategate, it was Spygate. I mean, there were different pieces of evidence of them cheating. Tom Brady's a Hall of Famer. There's no, I mean, Tom Brady, it's kind of like the argument with some of the steroid players in baseball. You even take away that stuff like Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire or Roger Clemens, like they didn't need it. That's the unfortunate part, because they were a Hall of Famer anyway. Yeah. And I think those guys should all be in. If it makes you feel better to put an asterisk by their name and put an asterisk by Tom Brady's name, that, Deflategate or Spygate or whatever, if that makes you feel better, then go ahead. They're Hall of Famers. There's no question. Tom Brady's the one guy that I said waive the 5 years and give him the gold jacket. Like, I just, they are.
No, you can't do that, man. You're not. I mean, you can't. No, he's in, but he's got to wait the 5 years.
I know, but I
get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But look, all teams cheat. Don't tell me they don't, because they do. All teams cheat. Patriots got caught big time. Right. And so the allegations they cheated in the first Super Bowl that Brady won, when they taped the walkthrough for the Rams the day before, which was illegal, that came out. Is that Tom Brady's fault? I mean, he had to be the quarterback. I don't know. What's the collateral damage off of that? But if you take that stuff away, I agree. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he went to 10 Super Bowls? And I mean, that's a great debate. There's a lot of people who don't like Tom Brady. A lot of people, because of all the cheating. I mean, it's just the way it is. You're not going to change their mind.
Right. And you don't have to like him, but I think you have to respect the resume. Let's check in again with Robbie and Rex Road, who are standing by at the Dunkin' in Brentwood. Boys, how's it going?
Blueberry glazed donut from here at Dunkin'. I'm feeling good.
Oh, I'm with the caller. Never Brady. Brady's out, man. He's a cheater. The caller's right. Well, everybody cheats, but if you get caught cheating, everybody speeds. If you get caught speeding, do you have to pay the speeding ticket? I do.
You do.
Yeah. Tom Brady got caught cheating. Let's get rid of the phone. Get him out of there.
So you think one cheating incident should kick him out of the Hall of Fame?
How many is okay, Chase?
How
much cheating is all right?
I understand, but I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you on that one.
I think they're gonna rename the Lombardi Trophy after Tom Brady. That's what Bill Belichick's pushing for.
Yeah.
What if they combine it? The Lom Brady.
No.
Can they combine it?
Now we're talking. Now we're talking. We're hanging out live today at Dunkin' at 4930 Thoroughbred Lane out in Brentwood. Lots of people rolling in. I just mentioned the donuts I had. They're fantastic. The coffee is flowing out here. Rexroad's on his 5th cup.
Oh.
He's only spilled
Are
2
you
of them
counting?
so far. So
Don't count.
he's
Don't
really
count
doing
my
a nice
coffees.
job of that. Come hang out with us. We'll be out here until 10 o'clock today. And come join us at 4930 Thoroughbred Lane at the newly remodeled Dunkin', the grand opening here in Brentwood.
All right, we'll check in with you a little later this hour. Sean Henry, the CEO of the Nashville Predators, is going to join us coming up next here on Chasing Big Joe, live in Chicago, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel, 1025-1063 The Game. Nashville Predators as they're back in action tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks. Pregame coverage at 6:30. The puck drop just after 7:30 here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. And we say hello now to the CEO of the Nashville Predators, Sean Henry, who is somewhere in this same hotel as well. Sean, good morning. How are you?
Well, you don't know where I am, man. I'm not Wrigleyville playing around.
Oh,
Not like you
I
guys
know.
sleeping in. What the heck?
We're not sleeping in. I mean, we're working hard, talking with the people in Nashville, bringing them some great sports talk. So that's what we're doing. But we're excited to be with you guys. It's really cool to, I've been, with the team before in the playoffs, but to see kind of a sponsor trip like you guys have. I know you have some of your sponsors. It's really neat. And we had a fun dinner last night at Lou Malinotti's, and this is really cool.
It really is. And, for, so many important people that put so much into organization and belief and investment, it's fun for them to see really how the guys do travel on a back-to-back. It's still a charter flight, 5-star hotel, great food and all, but it's a grind as well. And I've always thought it was fun to, see how the machine works, if you will. So I'm glad you guys are having fun and you can join us.
Tonight, if, for those that are back in Nashville, you do have a Bud Light official watch party at Brooklyn Bowl. Wayne D's going to be there. DJ Battle. It'll be a fun night watching the game as the Predators are going to come in here and beat up on the Blackhawks tonight. I'm calling it right now. But for fans that want to go out and watch the game, there's a watch party.
Yeah, it's always fun. And whenever you're around Wayne D, it's hard not to have a good time. But Brooklyn Bowl is such a cool event venue, too. If you haven't been there yet, get on out. Ideally, we go into the Four Nations tournament with a couple of wins. It'll be nice.
We're talking with Sean Henry, our best friend. You're no longer the CEO of the Predator. You're our best friend. Hey, Sean, I was telling Chase this. Just the moving of a professional sports team is like, all right, hop on a plane. I'm in the city, and there we are. I'm telling you, I mean, I'm just mesmerized by all the moving pieces that have to go correctly to get your team into a city and to play a game and get out of the city. I'm telling you, it is something that'll blow your mind if you've never seen it before.
You know what? It really is. You guys should have Brandon Walker and Pete Rogers on, one day, because, to hear what they do and the stories and the things they deal with, or, just weather concerns. Last night when we were checking in the hotel, I was up back in line, not up front with you VIPs. Just talking to the woman that runs the hotel we're staying in right now, and Brandon and I were talking, and you forget how many problems it can have coming in and out of Chicago, just from a weather standpoint. And again, what Brandon does, what Pete does, I mean, literally, we move our locker room and our medical facility, from Nashville to Chicago, back to Nashville and throughout the country. And it really is an amazing thing to watch. And, those guys, I don't know how they do it. They'll play a game tonight. We'll land, I don't even know, 1, 2 in the morning. They'll be on the ice in the morning. Tomorrow back at Bridgestone Arena, play a game again and do it all over again. It really is pretty cool. And the cookies don't stink on the plane either.
Right.
Oh, they're good.
They don't, with an NFL team, they'll have 8 or 9 away games, but, they're not back-to-back the next morning. There's a lot of moving parts to that as well. But you got 41 road trips, and sometimes they're back-to-back, and all like this one is right here. So the process of making sure everybody is on the same page, I mean, and you guys, most teams pull it off, but I'm telling you, I would be so stressed out, Sean, to make sure that this player, that player, or this front office member or that person got there. It would drive me crazy.
I don't know how the guys do it. I have a tough enough time just downloading my own, ticket for the game, let alone worrying about, hundreds of other people and the logistics of going to, the coordination of, 4 buses and there's just 160 people checking into a hotel at the same moment. I mean, that alone was amazing to see, right? And last night we had a tough time getting 6 people from the lobby to a restaurant when I was coordinating it. So it really is awesome. And again, they work through so many problems that, can change so many things. I mean, last year, I forget where we're going, wherever it was. I remember our windshield cracked on the plane, which, seems like a pretty big deal, obviously, but we didn't miss a beat, man. We landed, it was changed, and we were back up in the air, the next morning, to the next city. But they just roll through things. And again, it's fun to watch them. I can't imagine, how many antacids they eat a day or how many cups of coffee, but they make it look easy, but obviously it's not.
This is a question that's kind of might be a little just weird at this, but how often are you in contact with the NHL office when you got to travel or a problem comes up? Like if, you're on the road in Vancouver, the hotel's not ready and, you're frustrated. Do you ever contact NHL office? Hey, we need a little help here with this or that.
The league's very supportive and we all network together. But again, all your travel's on you. Your team organizes everything. But again, our team services person, Brandon Walker, he has a network, the 32 teams kind of head of it. And, they talk about what hotels are good, where they have problems, what does our charter situation look like? And, there's basically about 15 of us on the same charter. So they work together really well. I'm one of those guys where I love the league. I love the support they give us, the leads on sales, sharing of information, the yelling at us. But I try not to call the league as often as possible because when I do, it's normally we have a problem. Like, oh my gosh, there's a water main break outside of our building and the building's flooding. We can't play tonight. So I guess the last time I actually called the league on a problem was 2.5 years ago. And I hope it's another 2.5 years before I call again on a problem.
Sean Henry is with us, the CEO of the Nashville Predators. Saturday night, when you guys are back at Bridgestone Arena, it's going to be the third Music Heritage Night of the season, a little bit of a hip-hop theme with Black Music Heritage Night. That's going to be a lot of fun, and the first 10,000 fans in attendance can get a mini vinyl record coaster with this year's Black Community Celebration jersey design inspired by street art and hip-hop artist Eric Nymore. So that'll be really cool to see tomorrow night. But I love these Music Heritage Nights. They're really cool.
The whole theme this year is playing into Music City as we are. So then the individual celebrations we're doing tie into it as well. And it's so much fun, not just to see what comes about and how people come out and how they enjoy it, but when we connect with a local artist, design the jersey and the logo and the story behind it, it allows us to put different people on platforms, for a little bit more attention. And, it's nice to show, differences in our community at our games to bring the whole community together at the same time. And I love the way we do it. Our marketing team, led by Brittany Austin, really is just knocked out of the park this year in how, again, to show our differences in a really cohesive fashion. It really is fun. So look forward to seeing you there tomorrow night. And those mini albums are just fun collection pieces. They really are.
Yeah, they are. I have a couple of them, one from earlier this year. Sean, I close it with this. Eli's going to get in
we're
eventually.
Not closing. We are not closing.
Nope.
Jill's coming on at 10. She texted me and asked me to stay on so we can do a four-man show.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey.
Well, by the way, Joe, I don't know if you noticed last night. We were eating dinner, great conversation flowing. It was a good time, upbeat. Party hats were on, confetti was dropping. And then Chase comes over and drops a turd in the toilet. I was like, hey, man, I'm really sorry. I thought there was a death in my mouth. Eli didn't get it. Not Eli Manning. Eli. He's our first name basis.
Yeah.
And I, as you guys know, I Irish goodbye'd you. I had to leave. I was so upset over it. So
you did not Irish goodbye.
No, I Rockefeller goodbye because I picked up the tab and then left from after the restaurant.
Thank you for that.
Yes. You guys didn't even wave to me walk out the door. But yeah, I love Hall of Fame selections because it makes us all talk, right? It brings up good memories, bad memories, and the arguments around sports are some of the best we'll ever have in our lives, right? They're just good natured, they're fun, and like Joe said last night on the bus, look, Bill Sims is not in the Hall of Fame, Eli Manning's not in the Hall of Fame. If they both don't get in next year, Joe's going to Canton and burn that baby down, right?
I'm going to take it down. Yeah. But look, man, you got 2 Super Bowls. You can't take those away. Your Giants have won 4 Super Bowls. So it's not like they're not being honored. I mean, they're forever heroes for what they did.
Well, they are forever heroes, but there is no one that's not in the Hall of Fame that has won 2 MVPs of the Super Bowl. So I think it's ridiculous he's not in. But as Chase spoke to me last night when he was hugging me when I was crying on his sternum, he'll get in. There's no doubt about it. He deserves to be in. He's a special player.
Well, Sean, if Jim Burt is not in the Hall of Fame, I don't want to be in the Hall of Fame either.
There's another guy that should be in, right? I mean, that guy won, I think, 4 Super Bowls, right? 2 with the Giants, 2 with the Niners, perhaps. And
I think so.
He anchored that defense. That we all talk about that defense, but very unheralded guy. But my gosh, I don't know if you know the names of the other guys if it were not for Burt. So yeah, we can talk forever about the '86 Giants. Let's go.
Before we get to that, real quick, tomorrow night Buffalo comes to town, and again, as a sports fan, I just think it's cool because the Eastern Conference only comes to town once or twice, maybe a year. I just think it's cool when a team like the Sabres comes to Nashville because they don't get all the publicity of the Rangers or other teams, but there's a lot of Buffalo people in Nashville who love when the Sabres come to town, Sean.
You know what? It's funny when the Bills play the Titans or the Sabres play us, once a year. You discover more and more and more people are from that Rochester, Weston to Buffalo area. They all talk about their weird food and what the real restaurant is that invented the wing. But it really is amazing how many Buffalo people we have, and it is nice to host them once a year. It'd be better if we got to host one of those Eastern teams twice a year because it means we're in the Stanley Cup too. But yeah, I love the Sabres fans that live here or visit, and I want them to have a great time and then, have fun cheering on their team losing. That's the real goal.
Yes, indeed, Sean. We will see you a little later today. Again, thanks for having us here on the trip, and let's get 2 points tonight against Chicago and 2 more against Buffalo tomorrow.
Joe, he's really trying to work me into a commercial, isn't he? I'm not hanging up, guys. I'm telling you. We're going 4-man booth, baby. I will. I'll see you in a little bit. Probably in the gym in a bit, I bet.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Sean.
See you guys.
Sean Henry, the CEO of the Nashville Predators. I mean, we do have to go to break
Right.
at some point. Let's check in with Robbie and Rexroad one more time, who are at Duncan in Brentwood. Boys, how is it out there?
Yeah, tell Sean Henry to move aside. We're now the 4-man booth now. He can't take over that crown when we were already doing that. So
also, turds are supposed to go in the toilet, but not in a punch bowl.
Yeah, no.
There's that as well. We just had
Nice
the ribbon
visual.
cutting out here at Duncan, 4930 Thoroughbred Lane. People are everywhere. We got the mayor down here. We got the police department down here. All sorts of stuff going on. Come on by 4930 Thoroughbred Lane out here in Brentwood. The grand opening of the newly remodeled Duncan. I'm still scarfing down donuts. I got a hot chocolate. Rexroad's, I believe, on his 7th cup of coffee now as we speak.
Dude, you got to stop counting. I wish someone did that for Stilly last night on Bourbon Street. Maybe he would feel better today.
I hope so, too. I wish so, too. Having a great time out here, boys.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this, and I know it's fun, and hopefully Rexroad will give a speech at some point. I think the people at Brentwood need that.
I think that's probably what they've been missing their entire life is a speech from Rexroad.
I'm going to go put on that Dunkin' coffee mascot thing. That looks warm, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
All right, fellas.
Robbie and Rexroad out at the Duncan in Brentwood. Joe and I are in Chicago. Dr. Crane is back at the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios. With a $99 yearly Beehive membership with a buzz is always about great service. We'll have more coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game. We're live today in Chicago. Predators and Blackhawks later on this evening. Really looking forward to that matchup. 2 games left before the Four Nations tournament break, which is going to be good, I think, for this team and a lot of teams around the NHL. But it'll be fun to watch the Four Nations tournament as well. We've had some fun talking about Hall of Famers and should they be in, should they not be in. I think, as Sean Henry suggested to us, we could do a whole show on guys not in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, absolutely, you could. Yeah, I mean, it begins and ends with me with one guy. You know who that is?
Dale Murphy. Well,
In fact, and there's another one. Who's number 2 on our list?
Ed Too Tall Jones.
Unbelievable that Too Tall Jones is not in the Hall of Fame. It's unbelievable that they've never put that man in the Hall of Fame. It's just crazy.
I agree with you. So that's certainly something that we can do. Coming up next, we'll get into more football, the Super Bowl this weekend. It'll be on Fox 17, and Fox 17 sports director Jill Jelnick is going to join us at 10. We'll get her thoughts on all of that, plus a really cool promo that they did promoting the big game. This week's Nashville's Best Deal is Prince's Hot Chicken. Maybe you want some Prince's Hot Chicken for the big game. The original and iconic hot chicken joint. Get half off a $25 gift card now while supplies last at thegamenashville.com/deals. That gift card is good for the Tanger outlets in Antioch and inside Assembly Food Hall in downtown Nashville. More with Jill coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game. Hour number 2, Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on this Friday. JoJo and I are live in Chicago with the Nashville Predators as they get ready to take on the Chicago Blackhawks later tonight. And then they're back at Bridgestone Arena tomorrow against the Buffalo Sabres as they'll wrap up this 2-game set and then have a little bit of a break with the Four Nations tournament. But the big game, the Super Bowl, is this weekend. You can watch that locally on Fox 17. And we say hello to Fox 17 Sports Director Jill Jelnick, who joins us now on our phone line. Hello, Jill. How's it going?
What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Happy 2 more days till the Super Bowl. So excited, not just because it's on our channel, obviously, but I love everything Super Bowl. The game, the commercials, the food. That might be a tie for first for me. But really excited for this one. So I appreciate you guys having me on. Great way to kick off the weekend.
I want to start with the promo that you all did at Fox 17 that included you, but also the crew from Fox 17 this morning, and also the marching band from the Pearl Cone Firebirds. Really, really cool.
Yes. No, we knew we wanted to go big for Super Bowl 59 since it's on Fox 17. And I actually just tweeted out the commercial in case anyone hasn't seen it yet. If you've been watching anything on Fox 17, you see this commercial, and it was so much fun. We wanted to kind of celebrate the music history of New Orleans and obviously Bourbon Street, and really have fun with that play of that New Orleans culture. And so our promotions team thought of a great idea to grab the Pearl Cone Marching Band, which is down the street from us at Fox 17, our station. And because legally we're not allowed to use like any sort of music, get this, Pearl Cone thought of this song themselves. They created their own original song just for this commercial. And so on this one Friday, we had them over to the station, freezing cold, but we were out there in the street shooting this commercial, dancing. They must have played the song, I want to say 7-8 times. God bless their hearts. We had to get them water. They were exhausted, but we finally got it right. It was so much fun. It was a great way to kind of kick off the year, or the new year, and the start of the new Super Bowl season. So if you haven't seen it yet, go to my Twitter at Jill Jelnick, or just tune into Fox 17. Trust me, in the commercial break, you're probably going to see me in a pink sequin dress and a marching band. That's the one.
Well, you know that Joe and I are hyper local here on this show. So when we got word that you were doing that, and Joe loves Metro schools, that was obviously really cool to see the Firebirds, because, hey, they can get it.
Yeah, they can. And the marching band, their athletics programs are doing a great job. Tony Brunetti, with the football team winning their first state championship. And it's a long time, just 2 years ago. They had a couple signees the other day for signing day. I mean, we do not give nearly enough love to the local high schools, especially Metro Nashville. I know Joe will back me up on that. So the chance to highlight them in a commercial for the Super Bowl, I mean, come on. What a great opportunity. So much fun.
We're talking to Jill Jelnick, Fox 17. And I think, if I remember correctly, is that you weren't here yet, but if I'm looking up, the Pearl Cone has a guy that won a Super Bowl. Yeah, Keyshawn Vaughn won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2020, and he went to Pearl Cone. So there's another tie-in.
There you go. I love it. See, and hopefully as Nashville grows, we continue to have more athletes that continue down the road and find successful paths in their sports, and maybe one day make the Hall of Fame. Who knows? You guys keep talking about it. And Big Joe, I don't know what Jared Allen did to you, but he should be in the Hall of Fame.
I'm telling you, when you think about Jared Allen, you don't think Hall of Fame. I mean, look, I'm the same way about Jason Taylor. He's not a Hall of Famer. When they come to mind, if it's not on the top of your mind that they're Hall of Famers, then they're not Hall of Famer. To me, those two guys are not Hall of Famers, but they're in. Congratulations. I'm in the Hall of Fame of nothing, so I've got nothing to stand there and beat my chest on. But I love the debate, Jill. It's a great debate for sports and who's in and who's not in.
I love messing with you, Joe. It was a fun conversation. And that was obviously the big talk last night, the Hall of Famers, right? The NFL honors. But you know what no one's talking about today that I want to talk about, Chase and Joe, and I'm just going to hijack your show real quick.
Go ahead.
The biggest local story last night, Thursday night, Lady Vols getting their first win over UConn since 2007. That was what led my sportscast last night. And let me tell you something, I was so freaking excited to have them in my sportscast, because what Kim Caldwell is doing over there on Rocky Top, it's special. And to have that rivalry renewed, it is so good for women's basketball. And let me tell you something, women's basketball is taking over Nashville, and it's going to continue to take over Tennessee more and more than it has in the past, with the potential of this WNBA team. So that's my little plug for women's basketball. In case you didn't get the memo, hey, women's basketball is cool now, and it's coming to Music City.
All right, not only that, go back to Lady Vols for a second. When Pat retired, and I forget who took over for Pat, Holly Warlick.
Yep.
And Lady Vols fans were, I think that they got humbled, and I think they're past that now, because all right, we love Pat Summitt so much. We've been through two. We went out of the family and got this coach. Things are going good. I think it's a great time to be a Lady Vol fan because of what they're doing and what the coach has brought to the program.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Even Coach Caldwell said last night in her post-game presser, she said the environment was electric. And she even said, quote, I think the fans got us at least 10 to 15 points. And I love that, because you know how coaches always say, oh, the fans were great, the arena was great, right? Well, I love how she puts points on it. Literally, she goes, I think it was roughly like 10 to 15 points that they got because of the crowd. So I loved that quote, and she was right. The environment in Thompson Bowling Arena was electric, and it is so exciting to see them with that continued success, so many years after Pat Summitt's passing away. Athletes Unlimited, they got the women's basketball pro league here in Nashville. In case people don't know, they just started up this past week. They're playing at the Municipal Auditorium. It's the 4th year of Athletes Unlimited, and basically it's WNBA players that need a place to play in the off season. Well, guess what? They're in Nashville. These are some Olympians, All-Americans, former MTSU stars, Alicia Clark. We got some local girls. So there is a wave. There is a tangible wave of women's basketball popularity and fireworks, and Nashville is jumping on it. I'm really excited about it. I know we're not talking about it enough, but that's how it is sometimes in the sports world, right? When you got the NFL honors, you got the NFL Hall of Fame, you got the Super Bowl. Sometimes women's sports, unfortunately, takes a back seat, but I think here in Nashville, it's starting to become front and center.
Well, and you mentioned Alicia Clark. I saw the news yesterday that she's returning to the Storm. I think she had been with the Aces, and you mentioned that playing in Athletes Unlimited as well. So she signs a contract with the Storm. But yeah, I agree with you, Jill. And I know you've written about this in the Tennessean as well, about women's basketball and women's sports in general. Just getting more coverage, which it desperately needs. And I think that Caitlin Clark probably has had a lot to do with it when it comes to basketball. Which is good. They've needed a star, and I think they have that now, and hopefully it can highlight some of the women that have kind of been paving the way before Caitlin even got here.
Yes, 100%. The talent has always been there, Chase and Joe. The talent has always been there. That's not the question. It's the visibility. It's the mediums that we've been able to watch them on, the rise of digital media, social media, and the ability to tell their stories. That is the answer I get from people in the league, from people that follow women's sports closely, from these athletes, is that the visibility is higher than ever. And this is exactly what I write about in my op-ed. I sent it to the Tennessean, and they're going to run it sometime next week. But if you're listening right now and you have any sort of interest in a pro women's team coming to Tennessee, women's basketball, AU, Lady Vols, please text in, call in, because I think it starts with showing interest. It starts with raising your hand and saying, yes, I want to watch more. I want to go to those games. It's one thing for me to talk about this right here on the radio, for us to talk about it. It's another for me to, hey, I'm going to cover it now. I'm going to the AU game. I was at the media availability. So there is definitely a tangible desire for more. the local aspect with Lady Vols and these former studs that were here in Nashville help localize it for sure. But it's an exciting wave, guys. And I'm excited for the future of women's sports in Tennessee and especially here in Nashville. So thanks for letting me
Jill, before we let you
go off on that.
Before we let you go, Super Bowl, who's your prediction for Sunday?
Okay, normally I'm the underdog girl. I love a good underdog. My dog Stella always goes with the underdog. But on Sunday, I'm going with the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs because I really do think that their ability to win those close game situations and the ability to having won the last two straight is going to get them over the edge. I think we're going to witness history on Sunday with the first three-peat in the NFL with the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right.
All right. She's going with the Chiefs. And look, I don't think that Eagles secondary has an answer for the Swifties out there.
No answer for the Swifties, Chase. And I appreciate that Taylor Swift plug. Because of that, I'll buy you a drink later. Okay, that was awesome. Good plug.
Do you think that she is going to make a surprise appearance with Kendrick Lamar?
No, she doesn't want to make it about her. She's going to wait till Travis is here. You go. Travis is going to retire, 3-time Super Bowl champion. They're going to have the wedding. Blah blah blah. Then she will headline the Super Bowl by herself. And when the moment is hers, she doesn't want to take it away from Travis. That I talked to her, that's what we kind of workshopped it a little bit before the game. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens for sure. Jill, thanks so much for joining us this morning, and I love your passion, and we will definitely do this again soon.
Yes, love it, guys. Hey, be safe in Chicago. Go Preds. Woo!
Jill Zelnick, Fox 17 sports director, joining us here on the program. And we'll get into a little bit more of the Super Bowl and the matchup. Because, we haven't really talked about it. And I think that kind of feeds the theme, Joe, of people are just kind of meh about this matchup. But we'll talk about it. Coming up next, Chasing Big Joe, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. We're live in Chicago here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Joe, 1025, 1063, the game here on this Friday. We're live in Chicago with the Nashville Predators. The Super Bowl coming up this weekend. We'll give our picks before we get out of here today. I do want to bring this up because we were literally just talking about this off the air. Sterling Sharp finally gets into the Hall of Fame. Shannon Sharp, his brother, who is on ESPN right now, was already in the Hall of Fame. And Joe, you just referenced the best quote he ever had, which was,
I am in the Hall of Fame, yet I'm the second best football player in my family.
which is awesome. And his brother obviously is his hero. So I asked you what set of brothers are in the Hall of Fame, and I think Shannon and Sterling might be the first. You know, Peyton and Eli eventually, the Watts probably eventually, but I think, Clay Matthews is not in.
Correct.
Bruce is. I can't think of any other, brothers that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
It would have been, Eli, had he got in, would have been one, but no, he didn't. And then, if you go to the internet and I typed in how many brothers in the Hall of Fame, it pops up Clay and Bruce Matthews. Well, Clay Matthews is not in the Hall of Fame. Should be, but he's not.
Do you think Clay, I guess he's the third, but little Clay, should he be in?
No.
I don't think so either. I don't think he played long enough.
I'm just telling you, man, that's the argument we've got to today is you've got to be in the Hall of Fame. You've got to make, at least in my mind, a profound impact on the game while you played.
Yeah.
And it should come top of mind that you're a Hall of Famer. That's why the Jared Allen argument just doesn't come to me like he's a Hall of Famer. It just doesn't resonate in my head. That's me. And then you flip-flop, our man, Too Tall Jones, not in the Hall of Fame. When I've talked to people about it, it's like, well, his impact on the game was amazing. And yet he's never mentioned for the Hall of Fame. It's a damn shame.
It is. I agree with you. But, shout out to Shannon and Sterling Sharp as Sterling finally gets in to the Pro Football Hall of Fame last night. 3337 has a text you'll appreciate. Man, I'm just so jealous. I didn't like anything about Chicago except the food. Every time you say live from Chicago, I feel like Chris Farley. Lay off me. I'm starving.
Oh, man.
A classic. What's cool is, when is the 50th anniversary of SNL? That's
next Saturday or next Sunday.
It's going to be awesome to watch that because, who knows who's going to show up and be a part of it.
I mean, that's the thing. You'll give me real quick. You'll get me started on this is that SNL got so one-sided with Donald Trump that it became non-funny.
Yeah.
It's funny it's okay to make fun of Trump and Biden. That's great. That's comedy. They did it in the 70s and 80s, but it got so one-sided. It's like, I'm not watching this. That's when you go back and watch SNL in the 80s and 90s when they made fun of Ross Perot and George Bush and Clinton and everybody was fair game. SNL was at the top of their game. I mean, it was must watch every Saturday night. It was funny. And even into the 2000s with Jason Sudeikis and Kristen Wiig and all those guys through there. And it's just, I don't know. I hope they turn a corner and go 50-50 again.
Yeah. I mean, Will Ferrell did a great George W. Bush.
And then Daryl Hammond did Al Gore. I mean, and it was hilarious. Everybody got made fun of. And that's why we liked all this stuff.
Do you remember the skit they did? I guess it was 2000 with the hanging chads and all that they did a skit where they both won and they had to be co-president. And so they showed them trying to live together. And Will Ferrell as GW would go to the fridge and there'd be a thing of milk that said Al Gore's and he'd drink out of it.
Right. And they did it to the Odd Couple theme.
Yeah, that's right. It was the Odd Couple. So, I mean, those were fantastic. So I agree with you. And I mean, that kind of goes for, any of the I don't watch any of the late night talk shows anymore because they got way too political and way too one-sided. And, it's like, I don't care. I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I just want to laugh when I watch a show like that, and so I agree with you.
Yeah,
So,
late night TV is absolutely awful. It is.
It is.
Colbert's awful. Kimmel's awful. Fallon's not funny anymore. And you go back to when I was growing up, Carson, obviously, and then Letterman took us all because they made fun of everyone, everybody. And you could do what you want about Jay Leno. They made fun of everyone, and it was funny. And now it's kind of like, oh, how dare you? And I'm offended. And who cares? But back then, man, it was. If they could get back to that, people would watch. But I don't watch any of that nonsense at late night.
I agree with you 100%. Somebody texted in about the Hall of Fame and brothers being in the Hall of Fame and asked about the Otto brothers. I know Jim Otto's in. Does he have a brother?
Any family members in the Hall of Fame, there are 3 sets of fathers and sons that are in there, and they are not players. They're all contributors. Tim and Willington Marr, the Giants, Art and Dan Rooney, and Ed and Steve Sable of NFL Films, but none who played. So according to this from the Hall of Fame, they're not in there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I didn't know. I mean, I obviously knew Jim Otto, but I didn't know if there was a brother or.
Well, you know who Jim Otto's son is, right?
No.
He drives the bus in Springfield.
Well done.
All right.
Let's go to the phones. We never know where this is going to go. The Donut Man is what he's asked to be referred to. Clay is on the line. Hello, Clay.
Good morning, boys.
How we doing?
Good, man.
Now, y'all are in 2 different locations, it sounds like, in Chicago.
Yes, we're
correct?
in our we're in the same hotel, but he's in his room and I'm in my room.
Got you. That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive remote there.
Yeah, what an age we live in,
Thanks.
right?
Now, I did call in as the Donut Man. And yesterday, Big Joe, I finally used my gift card.
All right.
I got a half a dozen at the Thompson Lane Krispy Kreme. I ordered a half a dozen glazed.
Great.
A dozen is between $15 and $16. And then remember the day I got y'all the 2-for-1, you got 2 dozen for that. Well, a half a dozen was almost $13. And I asked the guy at the drive-thru when I paid, I said, why is it so much more per donut, if you buy a half a dozen? He said, I don't know. So I've eaten 4 of them, Big Joe. I have 2 that I'm looking at in a box right now. Of course, maybe I don't know. Are they stale after overnight, Joe?
They are not. But I'll tell you what, right now, this is good radio.
Oh, it's awesome. Let me tell you.
How about we talk about the Super Bowl?
Let's do it.
Who you got in the Super Bowl?
Honestly, I'm not for either team. What the Chiefs are going for is amazing. 3 in a row, that would be history. They'd obviously be the team of the 2020s, just like the Steelers were the team of the 70s. I think the 49ers, the 80s, the Cowboys, the 90s. Then you had the Patriots, but nobody's ever done this. So that would be amazing. I'm just more of a variety guy. Let's let somebody else win every once in a while, I guess. And I never, and you probably understand this, Chase, as a Cowboys fan, the Philadelphia Eagles fans are the rudest fans there are. I personally have been to 2 games, not at Lincoln Financial Field, but at the Vet. And I'm telling you, it's rough. Chase, I was at the game where Michael Irvin's career basically ended. You remember when his head went straight into the turf and he had a neck injury?
Yeah.
They actually started cheering when the ambulance came out on the field. Dion was playing for the Cowboys at that time, and Dion kind of was, kneeling beside him, checking on him. And, this big fat woman behind me and my cousin. My cousin lived up there at the time. And so that's who I went to the game with. And I wanted to, well, never mind. This healing, Dion, healing. And I wanted to turn around and have a little discussion, but I kept my mouth shut.
Good.
So I'm
You
really
didn't
for neither
flip her
team.
off?
I just go ahead.
You didn't flip her off?
Well, maybe that's what I wanted to do. You know, I'm good at the number one salute.
Oh,
you
yeah.
are.
There you are. Clay, appreciate the call, my friend. We got to run on that, but appreciate it.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Clay always.
I
brings
almost
it.
turned off the radio on that.
Well, and it's funny. You got me thinking. You know, I don't really care who wins. I kind of look at players that have a local connection. Obviously, Oren Burks is with the Eagles. He played at Vanderbilt. Reed Blankenship is with the Eagles. He played at MTSU. Eric Berry. Wow. Now I just blanked the offensive guard that we want to sign for
Trey Smith.
Trey Smith. Thank you. That played at Tennessee and is from here. So I mean that's kind of what I'm watching is some of the guys with local connections. Real quick, Eric wants to weigh in on the Super Bowl. What's up, Eric?
Hey guys, and I was going to tell Clay. I think the reason that the price of those may have went up, if I'm not mistaken, aren't they made with eggs?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, that may be the reason because everybody's just charging everything like crazy on that. But as far as the Super Bowl guys, I think it's going to be a great game. It's hard for me to pick against the Chiefs. I got a feeling the Chiefs are going to win. The only way I think the Eagles would win, even though they've got the better talent, could they win the close game as possible? Where it's got to be 10 points or more because I think they've got the more talent-wise on that team. It's because to beat the Chiefs is basically you got to cut the head off the snake. They got to get up on them and stay up on them. They can't let up because if it's a close game, it comes down to the last few minutes. If especially Kansas City got the ball last with under 2 minutes to go, and all they need is a field goal, or touchdown, whatever, win the game. You just got the feeling they're going to do it. The Eagles are the more talented team, but I just got a feeling Kansas City is going to win. I don't want them to win, but you can't bet against them. They've won the last 17 straight games, one-score games. They haven't given up 100 yards rushed to running back since 2019 in the playoffs. So they're just tough to beat, and unfortunately, I think they're going to do it, guys. Guys, as always, good to talk to you. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Eric. As Ricky points out, I believe Kari Blasingame, former Titan and Commodore, is on the Eagles as well. So
practice squad.
Is he practice squad?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll get Chris Sanders, forever Titans wide receiver. We'll get his thoughts on the Super Bowl and much more coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jason Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game on this Friday. We're live in Chicago. Dr. Crane is back at the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We say hello now to our buddy Chris Sanders, Forever Titans wide receiver, who is on the line with us. Chris, how the heck are you this morning?
Man, I'm doing good. It felt like I ain't talked to you in a couple of weeks. I actually miss you guys, man. What's going on with y'all?
I know. I miss you too. I want to start with a hard-hitting question, though. You heard, and I'm sure you and Jared discussed this earlier this
argued
week.
The whole time.
I know. I love it. I love it. But DeAndre Hopkins spoke at the Super Bowl, and he talked about the trade from the Titans to Kansas City and how he kind of took himself out of the Buffalo game. My perception of that is, and look, maybe this is harsh to say it this way, but if you're taking yourself out of the game and you're not injured, like that's kind of quitting on your team. That's how I took that. And I want your perspective because, again, you're going to understand this and what a player goes through more than I am. So go ahead.
You know, I'm not going to say he quit. I just think that you saw a frustrated receiver. And I know people, he quit on the team and this and that. But sometimes you just have a bad day and you get frustrated. Just imagine working at a construction mill, whatever. Sometimes you just get tired and you're like, okay, I just need to just blow off some steam and walk to the sidelines. And that's exactly what he did. Because, listen, when you're talking about quitting, you're just saying, I'm basically throwing in the towel and I don't want to be here anymore. That was just one day where he said, you know what, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, and I'm going to take myself out. Because here's what we got to understand. You know, I know we do some great things and we play football and do all these things, but we're still human. We still feel, we still go through frustrations. And I think sometimes people don't understand that. And just looking at, Hopkins, I just think at that moment, he was just frustrated. He wasn't getting the ball. He didn't feel like he was a part of the offense. So on that day, I just think that you looked at a frustrated receiver as opposed to a guy quitting on his team.
So I hear you, and I don't 100% disagree with you on that. But the difference is, like, I've heard you tell these stories. I've heard Derek tell these stories of getting frustrated in the moment and walking off. And I think Derek told one where he was literally going to the locker room and somebody, I think it was Ed Reed when he was in Baltimore, pulled him aside and was like, hey, man, we need you. We need you right now. Like, I know it hadn't come your way, but we need you. And he went back in there. The problem is the Titans don't seem to have a guy like that, and that didn't do that with him. And then the next day he's traded to Kansas City because he talked about sitting with Rand Carthon and saying that, he wanted to move on and all that stuff. So I mean, I hear you, and I think it's kind of both sides of it, but it just was really interesting to me when he made those comments.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, but here's what he did that people kind of look at is he didn't blast the team at that moment. He could have said, man, I'm tired of this and whatever. He waited till after the season. I know it doesn't sound better, but at the end of the day, he was just a frustrated receiver. And I can understand how he feels because I played in the offense to where I may get maybe 1.5 attempts a game. So there were times where I walked off the field upset. There were times where I walked in the locker room to where I wanted to throw my helmet and yell at some people. But at the end of the day, I had to check my feelings. I had to tell my emotions to shut up. Because I'm going to tell you this. Listen, people got to understand this. My emotions were like, I don't want to be here. My emotions are like, I don't feel a part of this team. My emotions were like, man, this sucks. But then when I went home, I had to check my emotions. Say, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to catch a lot of passes, or do I want to catch the vision of the team and go to the Super Bowl? In 1999, we did. So I actually, made my goal.
We're talking to our good friend Chris Sanders on the Jason Big Joe Show. Hey, let me ask you this. So, Hopkins crying when I get the football. You've been there. What would have happened had you gone in Floyd Reese's office in 1997 and said, Steve's not throwing me the ball?
You're out of here. It would have been no Super Bowl for me because
no, he would have been like this. He would have been like,
hey, bub, get out of here.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. But see, I probably would. It all depends on who you are, right? At that point, we had a whole bunch of receivers at the time. We had Yancey Chicken, we had Derek Mason, we had Kevin Dice, we had all these guys. So if I go into the office and say, I want the football, if you don't do this, and then trade me, Yeah, I would have said that, and then I actually would have been traded. But here's what I had to fight. This is what I had to fight. My first year in 1995, I led the league in yards per catch with 23.5. The year after that, I led the league again with 48 catches. With 18.5 yards a catch. So now I get into a situation to where the offense is built around Eddie George. The offense is built about running the ball and being physical at the line of scrimmage. So I understand it. Man, I went from catching footballs to not catching any. So now you got Hopkins at a situation to where he was at Houston. He's catching 100 balls, and now he's only catching about 1 or 2 a game. So he's frustrated. But the only thing I wish he could have did better was he had somebody to talk to him and say, listen, hey, bro, just tame your emotions and let's go try to get this dub.
Let me ask you this. The Super Bowl this weekend, and in my awful career, I always took time, Chris, when I got on the field I'll never forget, 15 seconds. I'd do a 360, just take in, all right, here I am. I get to play football. When you played in the Super Bowl, were you able to walk on the field?
Oh, my God.
And like, all right, I'm here. Let's go play. Were you able to do that?
Yes. There was 2 cool parts about, me walking on the field. When I was walking on the field, first of all, I saw Tina Turner, and she's one of my favorite artists of all time. and I said, Miss Tina Turner, it's an honor to meet you. She kissed me on the cheek and said, okay, go have a good game, baby. So I was like, let's just go and get married tomorrow, because I was that excited. But then here's the cool part about this part is I walked out on the field, and all of a sudden I heard somebody scream my name, hey, Chris. And I walked to the other end zone, and it's about 15 or 16 people with an 81 jersey. And you talk about a guy feeling good, a guy, finally seeing his dreams being fulfilled, to where you look around and like, man, a kid that went through adversity, a kid that said they had ADD, a kid that said he'll never amount to anything. Now he's sitting in 1995 at the 34th, in Super Bowl 34, fulfilling his dream. It's unexplainable. And then on a situation to where, man, you're in the huddle and it's the last play of the game, and you got Steve McNair who's tired. You got, Eddie George is tired. You got Kevin Dyson in the game, Derek Mason, and it's the last play of the game. And then you dreamt about it as a kid, to being in a play like this, and I'm actually fulfilling one of my dreams, to actually have a chance to win a game, to have a chance to win a Super Bowl, and I'm in the last play of the game. It gets no better than that, man. Golly.
That is very true, and I love talking about these memories with you. All right, do you have a pick?
You know what? I hope it happens. I'm going to go with Philly. I think Philly's going to beat them, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because everybody's talking about the three-peat and, Kansas City winning 3 in a row, and I just think that that's the fuel that Philly's going to need. And then, I think the X factor. I know everybody's talking about they're going to stop. Kansas City's going to stop the run game. Man, the big dog that they have in the backfield with Barclay. Do you understand what he's done in the preseason? He has 442 yards in the postseason alone. Yeah. He's averaging 147 yards, 6.7 yards in a tipped. So if he gets going, I think it's going to be a long day for Kansas City. I know everybody's talking about, Mahomes and Magic. I understand it. If it's the last possession, I'm giving it to Kansas City. But when you got Barclay in the backfield that's running the way he does and making those big plays, I think that's going to be the X factor in the game.
It's going to be a fun one for sure. Chris, thanks so much. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate you, brother. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
You too. Chris Sanders, Forever Titans wide receiver, joining us on the show. Coming up next, we'll give our final predictions on the Super Bowl, plus what day is it, and celebrity birthdays here on Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Company has been live on Radio Row all week in New Orleans leading up to the big game. His coverage presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, Family Leisure, Shane Company, Volunteer Hose and Gasket, 312 Pizza Company, Cedar Direct, and the newcumberland.com. We certainly appreciate all of them for being on board for that this week. Before we get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays, let's make our final predictions with a score. JoJo, I'll start with you.
Eagles win 27-24 overtime.
In overtime. And by the way, some of the sports books still have Kansas City as a 1.5 point favorite. ESPN Bet has moved it to a pick'em. So ESPN Bet has it as a pick'em right now, but some of the other books have Kansas City as a 1.5 point favorite. So very, very interesting to look at that. Dr. Crane, what say you?
I'm going with the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win 31-27.
Okay, 31-27. I am going to go with Philadelphia. I actually think this could be a little bit of a more of a low-scoring game. 21-17. They get it. It's going to come down to the wire, but I think the Eagles knock off the Chiefs. Also, the total 48.5 according to DraftKings. If you are so inclined. The Eagles are only even money on the money line. So it's a very, very close spread right now, but certainly going to be a fun one to watch. With that, let's get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays, which is presented by Jared Companies, Inc., above and beyond industry standards, the only company you need for commercial construction services. Visit them at jarrettcompaniesinc.com.
All right, gentlemen. First on the list we have today is E-Day. It's something to do with math. So if you like algebra, college algebra, enjoy it.
I don't.
Yeah.
No, hate it.
I'll pass on it.
No math.
Next one we have is Ballet Day. Joe probably did that this morning in his morning routine at the gym, but Ballet Day is next. We also have Bubblegum Day. So if you like good old bubble gum, go get you some. Let's see. Kids, give kids a smile day. So go smile. How about that? National Fettuccine Alfredo Day. Love me some fettuccine.
Yeah. Yes.
You can fry it the next day, which is delicious. National Patty Melt Day. So if you enjoy patty melt, I know a few places.
Patty melts.
I feel like patty melts are underappreciated when it comes to, looking at burgers and so forth. It's not a burger, but I just feel like it's in that same umbrella category.
Yeah, I agree.
National Periodic Table Day. So if you're a science nerd, have fun.
No thanks.
National Wear Red Day.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. National Rose Day, the flower. Beautiful, beautiful flower. Let's see. Send a card to a friend day. I might send you guys a postcard to Chicago. Be fun.
Nice.
Let's see. Wave to. Oh, this is pretty funny. Waved all your fingers at your neighbor's day. I'll wave one finger at a neighbor. How about that? The ones that live to the left. I think left to me. Yeah, because yeah, that's right. Yeah, left. They're nice people. Just sometimes give a little finger wag. Dog kind of runs over in the neighborhood, whatever, and so forth. Let's see. And that's
not putting up with that.
I don't, not at all. And that'll do it for us. So on to you, Joe.
Goodness. All right, time for celebrity birthdays. You got to get these within two. Our first birthday is the actor James Spader. How old is James Spader today?
73.
70.
65. Next up, Chase, you better get this. Garth Brooks.
63.
70.
63, dead on. My goodness. Chris Rock.
Chris Rock?
Yep.
60.
56.
60 exactly. Chasers up 4-0 already. Ashton Kutcher.
Ooh. I'm going to say 51.
53.
47. Yeah, right. Let's see who else. Comedian Robert Smigel does Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. He's in all the Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah. 55.
60.
65. Keyboardist David Bryan of Bon Jovi. He's the one that looks like a poodle with all the hair.
62.
68.
63. Chases up 5-0. Let's see who else real quick here. Okay. Former Major League Baseball pitcher Bert Hooton.
72.
68.
75. Houston Oilers Hall of Famer Robert Brazil.
74.
70.
72. That's a push.
Yeah.
Former Bears punter. And
I think I get
he's
that
in
one,
the
Joe.
movie Step
Didn't Chase
Brothers.
say
He's mentioned.
75?
No, I said 74.
Okay, my bad.
Then what'd you say? 70?
72. My bad.
Yeah.
You don't argue with me during my game.
Sorry.
Chris Gardocki. Remember, he was in Step Brothers. He beat up Will Ferrell.
Yeah. 54.
40.
55. Chase up 6-0. Juwan Howard.
47.
54.
52. Dr. Crane's on the board. 6-1. Steve Nash.
48.
49.
51. 6-2. Down to the last two. Matthew Stafford. How old's Matthew Stafford?
38.
39.
37. Chases up 7-2. And our final birthday, Chase, how appropriate. Today's birthday, our final birthday, Steven Stamkos.
Oh. Steven Stamkos, 35.
36.
35 exactly. Chaser wins it 9-2. Good job, Chase. You won every day this week.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Academy. That is going to do it for us. Thank you to the Nashville Predators for having us on the trip. They're in action tonight against Chicago. Pre-game coverage at 6:30.
Amen. Look, to our guys out there, it's our message we love every show. If you're struggling, you need to talk to somebody on your cell phone, you can dial or text 988. Here's my message to our guys this weekend. When you're struggling and you're feeling not so good, go out and do something for yourself this weekend. A movie, a concert, Preds game Saturday. It's not selfish. It's deserving. You work hard. You are so loved. Go do something for yourself this weekend. We need you here. We need you here every single day. Remember, we love you. And more importantly, God loves you.
Amen to that. Peace, love, rock and roll. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick coming up next here at 102.5, 106.3 The Game.